So I'm going to show you how the main engine room started in the Free Studio Edition. Uh, so Visual Engine Room is a marine engine room simulator, and you can download the software from drkluj.com. What you will need to do is, once you find this website, scroll down until you find the Free Studio Edition. One thing to note is that the free version is version 2 or 2.5 of the software. The newest version is version 6. So this version software is quite old. As a result, has a number of bugs for other code, which is why I'm making this guide, because the instruction that come with it don't make a lot of sense and they don't actually work due to some bug. So when you firstly get started, that you play around with some of the startup modes, you might start looking. You will notice that when it is in this condition, some of the tank and other system are above fill. And so this is good for learning how the system should be configured. But this mode isn't really a great starting mode because there is a lot of alarm you can clear and you can drain the tank about the software. So what I recommend is that you start with a dead ship, and that's what I'm going to show you. It should take 20 and 30 minutes here to get the ship fully up, and so we have a completely dead ship. I'm going to go ahead and just double check that everything is reset by selecting that shape, and we're going to start. So the first thing is I'm going to do is bring up power. You can use shore power when the ship isn't moving. You have the shore power available. However, I'm going to use emergency generator power to do the initial setup. There's 4 generator on the ship. There's 2 diesel generator, there's a shaft generator and emergency generator. So I'm starting the emergency generator now, and I'm going to get the diesel generator 1 up. So we're going to work on. So now lights up. EG1 is working. The diesel generator requires start air. So I'm going to turn on the emergency compressor to fill up the diesel generator receiving tank or air receiving tank. While that's filling up, I'm going to fill up the diesel generator loop oil tank. Then get some fuel in there as well. This is the diesel oil intake, and you have to do is open this valve and you will start filling up the deep oil. While that's filling up, I will go ahead and put some pump. This is plenty. We don't need to fill up. So go back to our compressor air. We'll go ahead and fill it up into MPA. You can fill a little higher. 2.5 is fine, but 2 MPa is can get the diesel generator started. You will drain a little air to remove any impurities. Make sure you turn on this valve to supply air to the diesel generator. So you should have air going to the diesel generator and fuel, and supply start air and fuel to DG1. We got DG1 started. I'm going to turn on the stator preheat on DG1. I'm going to turn off EG, the emergency generator that causes an alarm. And then I'm going to turn on the breaker for DG1. Before we put too much load on this generator, we need to get some fill up and going the diesel generator requires seawater for cooling. I'm also going to turn on the main emergency water pump because we're going to use those soon. It's provide cooling to other system in the ship. So now I have cooling going to DG1. I'm going to put DG2 in, sorry, EG2 in standby mode. So we start the other system for some reason. DG2 could start up and service the ship. Put the EG emergency generator into auto mode just in case both generator fail. Okay, diesel generator is now standby mode and the emergency generator is in auto start mode. So with that, I can go ahead and start putting load on DG1. Start the air compressor, the main air compressor. And the reason it must start to now because it will take the long time. I'm going to open up all the valves before I start the compressor, and that's just going to help the system fill evenly. You should see air going up. So good. All right, now I'm ready to move on to the steam system. Put some water. Well, that filling, I'm also fill up the hot well and the boiler to speed up. Fill the boiler water level to just over 100 centimeter and hot well level to about 100 centimeters. Don't go too much over 180 centimeter. The reason why is because the water is going to expand and we will heat it up. So get ready to start the boiler. And close this off when the refill tank just about full. So be burning a diesel oil for the boiler, which already filled the service tank for, and we need to open this valve and start with venting valve open. The burner should turn on. If you done everything, you will see the temperature come up. We're going to flip the switch to auto. Okay. Now this tank will stay full. Go to the steam diagram and going to open up the main steam valve and shut off the vent valve. It will cause steam to flow through the ship. So if you turn the main engine still water cooling pump, then the condenser and everything will work for the steam. Don't hot, don't get the temperature over 80 degrees. You will wash this gauge before you move on to make sure that the system is working correctly. The hot well water temperature holding steady at 80, and we almost full steam here, or nominal steam. Okay, now we have the steam system fully operational. I'm going to move on to the freshwater cooling system. Fill up the expansion tank. This main gauge here is the expansion tank. It's fairly high. Okay. So going to turn on the main engine freshwater pump. Always bring primary pump up to full speed before putting the secondary pump in standby. And going to turn on the main engine freshwater heater. Don't forget to turn this off after you start the main engine. Now we have the cooling system fully online. I'm going to move on to main engine lubrication system. We already put some lube oil in the diesel generator. There's a bug in this part of the software. When you open this valve, this valve, and allow oil to flow into the main engine sump. This main engine sump right here is where this goes. The the software will magically create lube oil from nothing, and so you need to be fairly quick about this if you want to have kind of realistic experience. This is our sum level here, and you want to get it over 180 centimeter. It's fine. Make sure don't overfill this main tank. You need to be fairly quick. Just Okay. We're going to cylinder oil tank fill. I'm going to turn on this two valve. We can see this storage tank fill up. I'm going to turn this on and get over 120 centimeter, but not too high. If you overfill the cylinder oil tank, don't worry about it. I think overfill a little bit. Don't worry about it. No big deal. Make sure that you open the main engine lubrication valve here. This allows cylinder oil to flow into the main engine. If you don't forget to do this, you will overheat the main engine. So don't forget that valve. We will turn on the main engine lube oil pump. The main engine lube oil filter. You'll also want to remember to turn off this off after you start the main engine. So now, our main system ready to go. We're ready to start fuel in the system. So make sure that the first thing is the steam problem. If any kind, you will able to move heavy fuel oil. Now the way I like to do this, just because all the tanks are empty, I like to fill them all simultaneously. And the way that I found to do is the best. This valve, and then turn on the transfer pump before you open the main shore intake for heavy fuel oil. This will allow heavy fuel to move fast. It will simultaneously fill up the deep tank and fuel settling tank. You will see the transfer pump pick up speed here as we supply heavy fuel oil. And you don't have to do this way. You could fill up one tank at a time. However, I like to keep things fairly even. I'm going to fill up this tank to right about this tank indicator. Mm, we're going to open this main section valve, which supply heavy fuel oil from this settling tank to the fuel separator. Turn off the transfer pump now. You only need the transfer pump to move fuel around the main storage tank and into settling tank. I don't want to fill up this deep tank to full, and the reason why is because the software creates a lot of extra heavy fuel oil from the build system. So the main fuel bunker look full. You don't want to fill them up too much higher than this second indicator. So I'm gonna supply steam to our fuel separators. I'm going to do the fuel supply diagram, make sure that the valve is open for the heavy fuel service tank, and just double check that everything is ready to flow into the system. And I am also to turn on the main engine fuel supply pump. Filling the heavy fuel. You don't normally have to do this to avoid alarm, and I don't know that you will do this normally because the tank are empty. We put the separators in standby mode. This will automatically operate the separator as needed. So the service tank are low. The system will kick on, and using both heavy fuel oil separators to quickly fill the tank will eventually go and turn on this off. I don't want to clear the alarm. So we can see that our service tank level are coming up nicely. Everything looks good. So we will let those continue to fill. We will go ahead and start the steering gear for the ship. Supply power to the steering gear and place them in remote mode. And then on the bridge panel, we will turn on pump 1 and put pump 2 in standby. Check all compressed air level. They look good and we have plenty of air. Now I'm going to do a final check of the system and check the system for any alarm or anything that I might have missed prior to main the engine start. So I'm going to check alarm. It should be on. These two should be in standby. So that's good. Should in standby, and normally this alarm will be clear, but I slightly overfill the cylinder oil tank, so the main storage tank, which is okay. So not a big deal. All should be off. All should be off. All should be off here. This pump standby should be red. So we're about to start the process for getting the main engine started. We're going to turn the lubrication setting to higher. Open up all the valve indicators. And when they shift backward, make sure the auxiliary blower is on and have the bridge call for standby. Disengage this. And supply air to starting valve and main manifold for the engine. This air used to start the main engine, and you will notice that the main engine doesn't start like it will in real life. I think limitation in the software. close all the key valve indicators. You see that this main engine heavy vibration alarm shows up until the engine reaches a certain RPM. If you still set a little while, bring this main throttle up a little higher. So the main engine started. We need to remember to turn off our heaters. So we'll turn off the freshwater heaters. And I like to bypass it as well. So the main engine preheater will bypass it. Just to ensure that we accidentally turn on that heater, we don't cause this damn overheat condition in the engine. And the same thing for the lube oil system. Uh, so now we can go ahead and check our power plant. You will see that our shaft generator has reduced voltage available, and take this condition until power up. So I'm going to go ahead and power up the ship. One thing to note is that the second that you put the ship in this condition and start the main engine, the software will put you underway and you will no longer be as sure. You will normally move this quickly, but I just want to move quickly. You will see the auxiliary blower turn off and the turbo generator start to warm up here. Change to normal. Now we go back to the power plant. You can see that our shaft generator has the rated voltage available. So before we do that, going to check check see any problem. Check our sludge tank level. It's pretty low. If starting to get high, you need to drain that off to the beach tank. I'm also going to enable the heat recovery exchanger. I want try to balance the RPM so that this heat recovery exchanger stay on essentially continuously. You can see that it's climbing just slightly. So I need to reduce the main engine speed just at that. Maybe one more. That looks steady enough anyway. It's okay. I think we could maybe reduce one more notch to get perfect, but it's okay. I'm going to get the shaft generator online. We're going to manually synchronize it. Looks like it's already synced up pretty exactly. So just flip on. Now we brought our shaft generator online. We can power down the diesel generator. Diesel generator 1, DG1. Diesel generator automatically was shut off. I'm going to ahead and stop diesel generator 1. And fully shut everything off on this generator 1. Shaft generator and everything is supply power to the ship now. Now we'll go ahead and turn on our lube oil separator. Supply steam to it and open up these two valves. Go ahead and put that into standby. And we'll double check our sludge tanks here start to get filled. So I'm going to drain the bilge tank and we'll eventually overflow the bilge tank, and there's no instruction on how to use the bilge system. So we'll just let that drain and go to the bilge diagram. One thing you want to do is open up all these valves just to keep the ship even keel and so forth. One thing I really struggled with was figuring out how to prime the pump on the system. You can see that we're getting pressure on this pump. When you have pressure from turn off the seawater, turn on the main intake from the beach before you start draining. We start draining those out and clean this alarm. Go ahead and turn off that sludge pump. Should be empty now. The oily water separator will turn on automatically if you put into the standby mode. So go ahead and put that into standby mode now. The oily water separator will run between 100 centimeters and bring it back down to 50 centimeters. And we will start filling up this oil collection tank, which you can pump off to the fuel storage system. And this is where you're going to end up with a lot of extra liquid in the tank that you will need to store and stash in various places. For example, you might want to start this, you might want to stash this diesel oil tip tank and run it through the separators. Okay, so we got the main engine online and got the element main system and their respective stage. The only thing surplus we could do is fuel system. We could turn off our secondary heavy fuel oil separator. We want to close the valve, close all the valve, and just continue to run the ship. The main thing that you will need to wash is the cylinder oil service tank. You need to make sure that this thing stay full. It seems to use a lot of cylinder oil. They will get filled quickly and you're constantly playing with the level. There's no way that I've been able to tell the actual level. You may also choose to trim the ship. You can see we are very slightly out of the trim here. So you could decide to put water in all the ballast tank. The water in the ballast tank and get the ship trim up nicely again. So we're going to stop this by creating a over RPM condition. What this will do is will automatically trip the main engine to stop, and because our main power is coming from the shaft generator, we will lose electricity, and our oil collection tank is getting full. So I'm going to ahead and turn it off. So put some heavy fuel oil deep tank as well. So this is why I recommended keeping the tanks low, because you will end up with so much extra load. I will also kill this one and will go to down the emergency generator and show you that looks like. The power plant and watch the generator come online. Now I'm not going to touch anything. You just let this thing automatically. The adjusters in the lower left will go to a trip state here. Just a moment. Loss of power. This generator to automatically moonlight. Go ahead and unload this and everything basically clear. You could literally just start the main engine again. Everything should more or less be in the right state. However, if you want to really cause some havoc, let's go ahead and stop the secondary DC generator. In this case, the collection is staying on because we lost the enough energy to run the main ship system. We're going to keep getting various alarm because we really managed to mess up the ship. So that's all from me. Thank you.